Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flying Solo Podcast. Today we have a very special episode because we have two judges for Flying Solo Awards. Both of them are incredible artists, the ones that we know for a very long time. And Matt, Eddy, welcome to Flying Solo Podcast. Matt Licari is an incredible New York-based photographer. He's known for his pictures of celebrities that capture their soul, I believe, of every single person that he photographs. And just to name a few celebrities that he has photographed, it's Tom Hanks, Sting, Whoopi Goldberg, and you recently shot Fetty Wap, right?
Mm-hmm. Eddy is a very good friend of mine who works in the Wall agency, and but I think that you probably can tell a little bit more about your experience.
Recently joined Wall Group agency. The Wall Group agency is a very huge agency for stylists, makeup artists, and hairstylists. We also have a content creator. We are part of WME. It's a IMG model agency. So we are a big group. I come from a fashion world. My world was completely different. When I was in Italy, I was completely only in fashion. So I was not doing a celebrity at all. So when I moved here in New York, I start approach celebrity words, which is completely different.
And I know that you're working right now with Johnny Depp,
Yes,
Kate Moss.
Yes, I did those
Julia
Fox. And the Wall Group agency, the opportunity that gives me, it was a lot.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and let's get into this.
Let's do it.
You both work in fashion for quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So how is the editorial image created? Is that all about teamwork? How do you think about production, pre-production? So take us into that world.
You want to take this one, or?
Yeah, I can express myself from hairstyling wise, which is normally when we start a photo shoot, we have a meeting with the photographer stylist, which is they give us a direction, for a mood board. We start it and see what we can create from there, so we start having this as a start, where we can build up an image, right? So we trying to put all ideas, about the lights, about the hair, about the makeup and styling. And then from there, we choose what to build and make everything together. That's how...
Yeah, that's similar for me too. We start with an idea. The ideas can come from different places. Sometimes a hairstylist will approach me with an idea. Mm-hmm. Other times I'm on the train and I'm like, oh, that's a moment. And then I think of it, I put it in my phone. The idea can be from anything, a movie, pop culture, and then you decide, okay, I want to do this idea. It sounds like the right time, or maybe you come across a stylist that has the right clothing for an idea that you had already thought of. So there's a lot of ways you can get to the editorial. Once you decide to do an editorial, you start with the mood board. You start by presenting, 10, 20, 30 images that give the feel, the I hate to use this word, but the vibe, it's the vibe.
Yeah, we always
yeah,
around the vibe.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, totally.
We love use that word.
Yeah, it's a vibe. So you want to present it in such a way that it's open-ended enough that allows for some creativity, but not so open-ended that it can be interpreted so many different ways that there's no clear story. And that's what I think, in my experience, maybe in yours too, that's what the meeting is for. You want to say, what are we okay, cool. We all like this. What do you see when you look at this? Oh, I see this. You see this. Cool. Tell me about, how can we dovetail it and make something that makes sense?
Yeah. It's kind of like a puzzle.
Brainstorming.
All the pieces
brainstorming. Yep.
Put together that created the perfect image.
Totally.
So if one of us has an idea, has to express to make that image look stunning. That's how we basically started, And that's important for everyone, because if one of us, we are not in the same page, and somehow it doesn't
bad
work,
link doesn't,
so
it can really,
cracking.
Okay,
yes.
But what should we do when one person is not on the same page? How to, what's
that
the
happens.
next step?
That happens all the time.
All the time.
Because sometimes the photographer is not on the same page as a hairstylist, or the stylist is not on the same page as the makeup artist. It's kind of hard, but you try to find for my own experience, the photographer has the final word, right? Because he's kind of that kind of vision that you see. You can suggest something, right? What you can see from your perspective. But in the end of the day, the photographer has to bring the image to life, correct? So what I want to say for my experience, it happens a lot of time that, the makeup artist doesn't like the vibe that, that kind of photographer, or styling, but in somehow we should find, kind of balance, in a way that we can,
find where it overlaps or
exactly
something.
match,
Yeah.
all together. And we always find it. That's for sure. Because otherwise you just stop working and then you go home.
Yeah, 100%. There's
There's
two
no other
alternatives.
way.
Yeah,
exactly.
You either do it or you don't do it. And you learn how to get it
I have
done.
a question for you, Matt.
Yeah,
so
please.
if the photographer is the last person who is saying yes, have you ever had any moments when you said no? It's not gonna happen?
Absolutely.
Can you tell us more about that
it's hard. This industry, it makes you really have to confront all your weaknesses and also your strengths. And so I have both a strong vision, but also I am a very friendly. I wouldn't say I'm conflict averse, but I don't prefer conflict. I prefer cooperation. So when I have to actually go and have a conflict with somebody, it's never comfortable, but you do have to sometimes do that. And so I try to find the most direct way possible. So an example would be, and often it's like when the production kind of unravels, like maybe somebody got sick and somebody else had to come in and they didn't have time to get briefed properly. There's these things that happen in the real world, or the whole shoot happened in like 2 days and like everybody was like, But first I'll try to ask questions. I'll say, tell me what your goal is here. Like, okay, like the hair isn't working, right? Like maybe the hair is not of the time period of the piece that we're trying to push, or like maybe the hair is very loud and like expressive, but the whole rest of the piece is not, and it's not vibing. You know what I mean? So somehow I want to understand what they're trying to communicate and what the goal is for that person. And if the goal is something that I can help them achieve without it messing up the editorial, I will say, oh, okay, now I understand what you're going for. Let's do it this way. And then, you just play a little bit of a kind of a political game and you say, okay, so does the person have an attitude? Or if it's not that and they're just being pragmatic, maybe it's a problem solving thing. You just solve the problem, So you kind of have to find out where to get in there and do the adjustment, you know? So sometimes that adjustment looks like, okay, great. You know what? Let's shoot it this way. And then we're going to go to this hair and it's going to be like this from now on.
And what's happened when everything goes wrong? Do you have, I know that there are a lot of personalities in this industry. So we will not name names, but any crazy stories that happened with both of you on the set?
So
I like that.
That's a nice question.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is it happens all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Very often, I would say, that people are not agreeing. Okay. I would say the perfect photo shoot when people has clear idea. Okay. When people has a clear idea, everything is smooth. When people has no clear idea, that start, conflict, because someone wants to do something, someone else wants to do something else. And it will create problems on set. But usually if you're professional, so you deal with professional people, it will be easier, to communicate each other, because that's the first thing. Communicate each other. What's your idea or perspective in that moment? Okay. Because in the end of the day, especially editorials, it's not a commercial or campaign that everyone has to work for one company, okay, or brand. But editorials, everyone has to bring something home, either photographer portfolio, pictures, and for me, exactly the same. We usually, editorials are not paid, we get a lot of credit from the magazine.
Or like just transportation or something, but it's
you're
never making all your money on that.
Exactly. It's not a real paid job.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone has to bring something home. And that's why what the problem is, because if he was paid, I'll get paid for what you telling me and everything is set. But in editorials, you have to bring something home. And if that image it will not represent you. In the end of the day, you won't bring anything home.
You just did all this work.
Exactly.
And
So
what do you get to show?
all the work that I did, it's gone, So you spend hours and hours in the studios, so you really want to do something. When things are going wrong, which is the problem, we try to get, I mean, that's from my side.
Yeah.
No, not really, but we try to get the best of what you have done in that moment. If you have one image, I will sing the positive things. I see
Yes.
always the glass full and not
Mhm,
empty.
mhm.
That's my perspective.
I
don't
think
know if
that's the
yours.
same for me. Like, if things are starting to go wrong, there's so many variables, so it's hard to like be so abstract, but like I will try to focus on what the thing that's working is. Like, if a model is not moving in a way that really helps me take their picture very well,
What
I
to do?
will say, what's that?
What to do?
Yeah, I will say, like, don't do that. I'll say, okay, when you do this, that starts to get into the world that we want to be in. So I really like where you start to do that, but just keep going that way versus like, don't do that other thing. Because then it makes them, it makes
That
them,
is a good vibe.
you know what I mean? Because it makes them then go, oh, like if I'm talking to you and I'm like, whatever it is, don't do that. You start to get self-conscious, and you don't want a model to be self-conscious because I mean they're an artist. They're expressing themselves. You want them to feel comfortable to try
And
things
relaxed.
and
I
relaxed
think this is the key.
and expressive. So yeah, I mean it's hard. Sometimes you have to almost like use tricks and things. Like you have to be like.
What's the trick?
Tell us,
Like
yeah,
I'll
tell us
say,
your
I
tricks.
mean, there's so many. I mean, pretend like you're not photographing them and you are. Not in a weird way, but just like they're on the set and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do some light tests and click.
Oh,
And then they're natural and you're like, and then you bring them over and you say, you see this? I really like that. That's cool. Like, can you do a little more of that? So you try to get something to, you know what I mean? Like,
let them see positive things.
yeah,
and not
be like, that's
negative
you.
things,
You just
right?
did that. You just did that. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
That's you.
Like, yeah,
It's not somebody
Yeah,
else,
like I
you know?
didn't make you do that. That's you. So and you give them a little like, oh yeah, that's me. So I'm about like that kind of positive reinforcement, like you were saying.
Pushing them.
Yeah,
Pushing them
yeah.
in a positive way so they can,
Yeah.
even like,
But I mean, like, just to go like down the rabbit hole a little bit, like for some
Yeah.
of the like the bad stories, like I've had situations where, and again, these no names and blah, 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 but like egos, right? Egos get involved, and
Yeah.
like somebody's there and all they want is, it's like, I don't like that. I think it should be this eye. It's got to be this eye. And you're like, well, can you soften it up? If they're really giving me a hard time, I have a few options. I either form a coalition on set and I will see who is the best person to talk to that person. Maybe there's somebody who they're a little more sympathetic to, like a friend or something. If I need to, I'll just shoot it the way they want to shoot it if there's time, and then be like, cool, we're going to do this your way, and then we're going to do it my way, and no more questions. Like, we can talk later, but I need you to like go with this, and then I don't hire them again.
But I still feel that's a huge part of the teamwork, right, guys?
You have to have it. Like, you cannot
There's
do
no
it.
other way.
Yeah, I mean, I make the picture, but I'm not the whole picture. I just click the button and do the light.
Oh.
No, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like the model, the hair, the stylist, the production team, like the art director, if there's an art director, the hundreds of emails prior, all that is part of the picture, so.
Yeah, if one of these things that's missing, the image is not exactly the same as you had in your mind.
Yeah.
Because everything is a teamwork.
Yeah.
Right? So we are talking about teamwork. If one of those things missing on set, you can tell. You can definitely tell. Some people, sometimes they say that, like, for example, how many images you see people shaved, like buzz cut.
Right.
So they think the hairstylist doesn't need it. But what about if the photographer said, why we don't make this buzz cut green? Who made it?
Right.
Who made
Yeah.
it?
Right.
The art director or the photographers that are like painting the hair? No, you must have the hairstylist on top
Right.
of everything. It doesn't matter if they are buds or short hair.
You have to be very capable.
Or like beautiful face that she
Right.
doesn't need makeup.
Right.
Come on. Like you want to have the whole team always ready on set, to make the image stunning.
I like what you said about clarity too. Like that is, in my experience, when the set and the team is very clear Like, we're doing this, we're doing it because of this. This is the feeling we want to evoke. We want 6 looks or 8 images or whatever, or 2 looks or whatever. Like, once everybody's like on board, it's smooth, you know?
Yeah.
Then you just get to work and have fun. But it's like when there's vagueness, that's when you get into trouble.
But do you guys normally work with the same team? Do you have a preferred team, or do you always assemble the new one for editorials?
That's how we would.
It's all over the place, right? I mean, some of the same, some of
Sometimes
not.
there's a like favorite team.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we
there
say.
There are
Favorite
favorites,
team?
but like
Yeah.
there are multiple favorites. Like, I don't love just one hairstylist or one side. I mean, I love a lot of people. You know, there's great people out there. I've worked with a lot of them. You know, so there are. If I get a certain hairstylist and I know that they're really good friends with this one makeup artist and they really get along well and they know how to do it well, I would love to have them both on. You know, like, I'm sure you work good with some people, and you know.
Yeah, I would say even like in the end of the way they work. You know, it's not only about, you know, the sympathy, you know, but if you know that team that works well,
Yeah.
they tend to work with those people all the time,
Right.
because you don't want to waste your time. You know,
no,
everyone wants to go home in the end of the day because
Yeah.
they're tired. You know,
Time is
so
priceless.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when you have this own team that works, why not? You know, like I'm keep calling that team all the time. You know,
Totally.
same.
But then as
photographer.
that goes, I'm sure it's the same with you. Like, people move or they shift or whatever, and then, you know, the teams evolve over time. Some people drop, you know, and then you kind of rebuild, or, you know.
Yeah.
So there's like a time and place for every, you know, like this year it was this team or whatever, you know.
Oh, but who normally comes up with an idea? So where editorial starts?
I am one of those weird photographers that I came into fashion through like documentary, fine art, skateboarding, music. I mean, like, I've got all these different like influences, right? So like I try to actually bring them into my fashion editorials. So like I like little worlds, like I did an editorial, like real life actually for me is what inspires my editorials. I did one many years ago. I was living in an apartment where I could see across the street diagonally, there was a lower down building with a roof, and there was this woman who was always watering her plants. And I was like, huh. So I put a note on
so
her
cool.
door, and I was like, I'm not weird.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, specifically.
That was the first.
Just to
I was
let
like,
you know,
I
yeah.
promise this is gonna sound weird, but I'm not. And then I like put my website and the rest of it, and I was like, I live across the street. Every now and then I see you water your plants. Like, I want to do
That
this.
is so
No, I know it,
weird.
and it just gets weirder and weirder. No, but I like left it there, and then I like didn't bother them for a couple weeks, and then I saw them leaving the apartment. I was like, hey. Sorry to be weird, but again, and we
But
started
we're
talking.
moving.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm out of here. No, but and she was like, yo, totally. Here's the keys, whatever, like the whole thing. She gave me and I did this crazy shoot where
Wow.
I shot from my building over there, and then I went to their building and put the model in my building and shot that way.
Wow.
And it was really fun. And at the end of it, it kind of started looking like one of those like 1960s and 70s CIA photograph. Like, so we started leaning into that with like black and white and heavy grain, and like. We shot like in the side view mirror of a car. So, you know, like sometimes they start one way and at the end they turn into like, maybe this is more of a spy story. But in the beginning it was just like neighbors and New York life. And
Eddy, what inspires you?
No, what I want to say is where the editorial start, right? So can start from everywhere, you know, basically. Can have the photographer has an idea, right? Because you see, actually he showed me before we start the podcast that had an accident with the fly, right?
yeah.
That got fired, right? So
Yeah,
then
there
he
was
showed me the picture. That can be an editorial.
totally.
That can definitely be an editorial. Actually, the picture that he made, it was stunning, beautiful. You know, it was
Right
all
before the
black
plane
and
went
white.
down.
You know,
Wow.
they were on the plane, and he got these moments of the picture. That can definitely be an editorial.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
whole
so
story.
if you had like a nice styling, you know, all the vibes, or you know, that can be an editorial. Everything can be an editorial.
Yeah, that's a
you
good
know?
point,
So
yeah.
as long as you have followed your idea and then you create and build up that kind of thing, that can be a perfect editorial. You know, everything has to inspire in the end of the day, because you should put your own thing, you know, your own, you know, emotions, your own effort, you know. And things are done in a right way. I'm telling you, I've seen so many good editorials with nothing, with zero cost, you know, just because you put everything that you had in your mind, you know. It doesn't have to cost
Incredible.
like a lot of money, put like a million props,
Totally.
spending $200,000.
Sometimes on the
No,
expensive
nothing.
ones, they like end up not
Nothing.
as good anyway.
I
so,
remember
yeah.
actually right here in Flying Solo, we got, I don't know guys if you remember, we did a campaign for a brand. I don't want to mention because I don't know if you still have it or not. But we saw this wall, right, and inspire us so much, and then say,
Oh.
why we
Yeah.
don't make a campaign right here? In the end of the day,
There you go.
this is your place. And it was the good and the right thing to do it in that moment because we were all on the same page, from the photographer, from the designers, from the hairstylist, which that was me. But yes, we loved it. We loved it. And the image was super cool with the clothes, having the vibe, the styling, and everything. And that was a perfect campaign.
Love those moments where it all
Yeah.
comes together. It feels good,
And but still, we're talking a lot about your team. And my question is, do you guys think that the audience actually understand how many people are behind the scenes?
Probably not, right?
Yeah.
And like,
Probably not.
no.
Probably.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's probably like any movie or anything, you think it's a few people or 20 people, 30 people, and you're like, oh my God.
Just two
it's
or
like, yeah. I mean, you don't
22.
even realize,
Crazy. There are production of 50, 60 people that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Like, where do those people come from?
Yeah.
And then probably you've seen them every day. Who does that?
Right.
You
Right.
don't know every single person.
Mhm.
We're not very accessible to the public in the sense that people don't know what goes on behind the scenes, with the exception that the more that Instagram and TikTok and everything are out there, the more there are these like behind the scenes reels and things. But those also glamorize it and they make it like, I'm on set today, look at this, clip, click, and then it's like done.
And it's usually assistants who do that. Assistant of an
To-
assistant
totally,
had the time to do
totally.
that.
And you're like,
Yeah.
where was my lunch?
Yeah. It's like-
But yeah,
My
totally.
coffee cold.
Yeah. No, the amount of people that go into it is significant, and the work. It's not always. Every now and then you end up like with a very small team, but more often than not, you think about it. Like the stylist has to go get all the clothing. Maybe they're getting a bunch of it from flying solo. Maybe they're getting it from whatever else, and they have to either hire assistants to run around. Maybe they have interns. Maybe they're doing it themselves, but they're interfacing with PR people at the fashion houses. They're interfacing with the designers themselves sometimes, or the in-betweens, like that alone is like 8 people, and that's just the clothing. So then you have photography, nails, whatever else.
I'm telling you one experience. We were in Puglia, right, in south of Italy. We were shooting Vogue Japan with Anna Del Russo. So Anna Del Russo, as everyone knows, she has like 6-7 assistants, right? So, and it was this beautiful big dress of Giambattista Valli, right? So it was huge, the dress, probably from here to there, right? So, and I have this picture. I'm gonna show you after. There's those 7 assistants with this
Wow.
dress
Right,
walking around like they were doing like a funeral.
Right.
Like next to each other, it was insane.
Like
We
a
were
wedding
cracking up,
That's
So
awesome.
Wow.
that's part of.
And you're like, this is my target goal.
You see those 7 people walking around, with only for one dress.
Wow.
Imagine what can be, photographer. The one has retouch,
Digital tech,
everything.
whatever.
Everything can be like 2-3 people from each category.
Yes,
So,
each department, whatever. I mean, again, it depends on the type of thing you're doing, the budget, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it can get big quick.
yeah, it's really important, to have a people like assistant, because it's not the same thing, when
It's not.
you have enough people on set, that helps. Especially, I would say from my category, and especially when you work with wigs, when you work with extensions, if you don't have like a system that helps you out, you will see the difference.
You really
You'll
do see the
really
difference. Yeah, you really do see the difference without help. And it's,
And I think it's for you to
it's
say.
easily, it's funny because sometimes like, brands will say, oh, you need an assistant, as if like it's like this diva thing. But in reality, like the assistant does the things like charging the batteries or making sure the files are backed up so that when you're there, you're really focused on the image. You're really like in your because if you have to switch between logistics and creativity, those are 2 different sides of the brain, and all that actually in neuroscience. And so you're constantly ping-ponging between your brain. It doesn't really let you sink into the thing that you want to create, And I've had both experiences where I've done too much and been like, oh, it's good, but it's like, it could be better. And then I've had it where it's like right. And it's like, okay, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
So creative people needs to create.
Yeah, totally.
Have a room for creativity.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think it's also very important to have a nice crew that in general can create the nice vibe, our
Sure.
word.
Yep.
During
Word of the
shoots.
day.
Yeah. As it creates the general mood for the set. and in the end you can see your results as a picture.
Yeah.
Tell us more about what makes the image stand out. What make those memorable images in editorials that everybody will be talking about for years and years? You
7
all know.
assistants.
Yeah, well, other than 7 assistants.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a very good question. I thought about this question a lot when you initially talked to me about it, and it's kind of like the question of like what makes one song good and another song like almost good, or like what makes one painting great, and it's sometimes like there's that like whatever that special magic is, and you can't quite tell. But other times it is, for me, it's often that it's there's something a little bit surprising that keeps me coming back to it. So maybe the expression is like, what's going on there? But not in like an unclear way, but like in a, I don't know, right?
I have my word.
Yeah, what's
I
your
would say moment, frame. If you have the same model with the same hair, same makeup, same lights, but with the frame and the moment that it's stunning, and another moment with the expression a little bit down, moment not perfect, hair a little bit mess, makeup a little, watch that. Same person, same moment, same lights, but that moment, that frame, it's stunning. And then probably they create like a cover of that. It's just a moment that you create on set. Of course, has to be like as we said before, a lot of work behind of everything. Hair, makeup, lights, styling, the right styling, because that is a very important thing. That little thing change everything. That little expression, that little movement, the hair, the little detail of the hair, the makeup, the eyeliner, the light, the way you take a picture, if that moment is perfect for everyone, it's a moment, it's a frame, it's a major. That's what
I think it's a very important element for our nominees in the future.
Yeah.
What is that?
For the
our
nominees.
nominees.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you guys will be
Totally.
judging it.
Yeah.
So, Matt, how are you? Eddie already expressed how he going to see the moment.
I actually agree very much. Yeah.
You are the judge, so in very little time, you'll be presented with a lot of editorials that are submitted, and you'll be choosing the one. So, how to be chosen?
I mean, I like to go through a few times, so like if something doesn't grab me on the first time, okay, I'll note that. I'll come back to it, but I want something to jump out at me in the beginning. But I also know that some of my favorite things, my favorite art, I didn't like it first.
Wow,
Really? Yeah, I did. Actually, I had to come around a few times. Ooh. So I try to give a little bit of patience, just a little bit, because not too much, not too much. And then, like, if it doesn't get me on the second time or whatever it's like, but I want to be engaged. I want like you were saying, the moment I want to feel like the picture is making me stop. There's something that is saying, don't go to the next page yet. And then I also want there to be something a little surprising, a little unique, because fashion, we think, we put our hands on our hips and we do the face, and it's like there's a lot of expected tropes. I want something a little different,
I see. We will start the judgment process just in a few weeks. So guys, we are so excited to showcase to you everybody who submitted, because we have so many incredible submissions already, and we have a few just a little bit of time to submit some more. So anyone who is listening right now, it's your last chance to present your work and possibly be chosen for Flying Solo Fashion Awards. So stay tuned for new updates.
Thank you very much for coming.
Done.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you both.
perfect
So good to be here and
timing.
see you.